All right, well, let's go ahead and start. We'll stretch out. Relax those shoulders and the neck. I like the side to side, the ear to the shoulder one right there because it's a good little, you have a nice little way of tracking your progress there because you can kind of tell, especially if you do it in a mirror, you can tell like, okay, here's my angle, then like a few months later, you can get a little bit further, another inch or two, and you eventually want to have that feel like you're almost, yeah, and I wouldn't
It helps not to have a sore neck.
Exactly, it does help to keep the neck relaxed there. So I wouldn't tug on this at all, don't apply any pressure, but just that gentle, the weight of your hand sitting on top of your head can be nice to give you that little extra stretch there. What can also help when you're doing these head side to sides is the opposite arm of where your head is going. If you tug that down a little bit, just kind of reach down with those fingers, you'll feel that you get a little bit more of a stretch down that shoulder and that into the shoulder. That can be really good for the neck. And then chin down to the chest. And just relax into the shoulder blades, the back of the neck, and roll the shoulders up. And deep breath in and sigh. Oh, good.
I'm not doing my blue.
Yep, try to relax a little bit. Don't smile. There we go, there we go. The smiles will always stop it. So it's actually really good when you pause like that. I like that in my students because it means that you're getting to practice turning off the tension. When you just lip trill automatically like I do all the time, that's good because it means that you're relaxed all the time, but it doesn't necessarily mean you know how to turn off the tension when you need to. And so if you're on stage in front of all those people, you might get a little bit tighter than normal. And so it's good to be able to practice, okay, everything's really tight, release it. All right, and if you can practice that at home of like, everything's too tight, and now everything's relaxed, and now everything's too tight, and now everything's relaxed. If you can practice that, then when you go on stage, you have that skill of turning off the tightness, instead of just having the practice of always being relaxed, which is nice. Like I like being relaxed all the time. But if I see that in a student, I worry, will this person be able to turn off the tension if it creeps in there during a performance? Because you might be way more comfortable with me than you are on stage. So anyway, that's fine, good.
Or not.
Or not. Start with a hum. Beautiful. Good. Let's see how quiet you can make that breath. Good. Try once. I'm going to take it down a little bit more. Try resting your tongue on your bottom lip. Like that. I'm hearing some tongue tension creep in there as you're getting to the top. Like kind of Kermit the Frog kind of getting stuck in the back of your throat over there. And that's from the tongue creeping up into the back there. Okay. So if you relax the tongue, and I practice it by actually resting it on my bottom lip. If your tongue gets tight, you'll notice it immediately. It creeps back in, you'll feel that. And the full extreme of that is just to hold your tongue in place and just, but I won't make you do that because that's weird. But you can practice that at home if you'd like. So just rest it on the bottom lip there. You could also do this in front of a mirror so you can see the movement, but you should be able to feel it. And that'll help train you to relax all that out of there. Think high, floaty head voice, tongue on the bottom lip. Keep the tongue relaxed and bring it back in. Drop it to the bottom of your mouth. Good. Try to find your tip of your tongue down the base of your front teeth, your bottom front teeth. Okay. So look at my tongue now. Yeah. Versus Okay. You see how the middle of it's kind of pushing up there? That's what I'm getting from you is a little bit of that high tongue tension. Okay. So put your hands on your cheeks here and just kind of massage down a little bit. Relax everything. Imagine you just got back from the dentist and there's still some Novocaine in your jaw. that space in the top. There we go, you're floating over the top, good job. Good, can you find some of that tone in the bottom there as well? Sing that top note for me. Beautiful, good, can you sing that bottom note with that same open space? Yeah, there's a little bit of the back of the tongue creeping up and the soft palate coming down on that first note. Sing the top note for me one more time. No, keep that space in your bottom note. A little bit better, a little bit better. That's going to take some time to work in there. Do a yawn once for me. Feel that extra space inside on the top of the roof of your mouth, the soft palate lifting when you do that yawn. And try to find that space through the beginning there. We're going through the middle of your bridge, right over your break there at the start. And so that's partially why it's getting a little bit tight, because those middle notes can be a little harder than the actual, high notes. The really, really high notes are hard, But like the sort of low high notes can be a little bit easier than the medium notes. The medium notes sometimes are just sort of tricky because you have the option of more chest voice or more head voice, and you're kind of trying to negotiate where it fits. Whereas as soon as you get to those higher notes, it's just going to float out in some pure open head voice, and that's nice and beautiful. So we can get that space into your middle range too. That'll help a lot. Let's go down and see if we can get back up through that. Keep that same open space. Very big and warm. Yep, those top notes are beautiful. Good, find that space in the start of the note. Good, try one more. Yeah, there you go. Always welcome to use the lip trills in between anything to try and relax and release the tension. You'll notice if you ever watch me in a speaking event, in any kind of thing I'm doing, a warm-up, I'm throwing them in there all the time just for myself. I'll throw them in there for the choir too, but sometimes I just do it just for me, because you've got to remind yourself to keep all that stuff loose and relaxed. If you followed me for 24 hours, you'd see me doing that at least once or twice an hour, at least. And when I'm talking in public or anything like that, I frequently am doing them just to keep everything loose and relaxed. Really, really helps with that stamina. Good, let's go down into the low range. Zing, zing, za, full bright chest. Zing, zing, za, zing, zing, za,
Zing, zing, za.
zing, zing, zee, zing, zing, zee, zing, zing, zee, zing, zing, zay, zing, zing, zay, zing, zing, zay. Bring it a little bit more forward and bright when we get down to the bottom there. Zay, zay. Don't let it get stuck in the back there. You can go full bright ringy chest once you're down in your low range. Now, I love how easily you're able to release that and get into your free floaty head voice as soon as you're up into the high range, but you have a tendency to bring that head so low that you lose access to some of your rich stuff on the bottom, and it ends up just breathing out a little bit. You have a beautiful high soprano tone and a beautiful, lovely, nice mezzo mix in the middle there. You're not really finding your alto space on the low sound there. Zing, zing, za. Keep it right in the front there. Don't let it get all stuck in the back. One more time. Let's do right here. Zing, zing, za. Try one more.
Zing, zing, za.
Yeah, last one. Zing, zing, za. Oh. Good, 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 good. Just make sure that when we're doing the sighs and sirens, you don't want to start with a glottal stop with the chords together. Yeah, open vocal folds. If you imagine an H in parentheses, that helps you keep the throat open for the start of that sound. And so, sometimes that'll happen just as you're getting tense, as we went down to the extreme of your low range there. That's not a tone you're going to use often, but when you need it, when there's an extended section that's a little bit low, when you have a verse in a song that's just sitting a little low for a while, it doesn't go up to your high notes, you can bring out that sound a little bit. Say, for a song like Deep River. Deep river, my home is over Jordan. Oh, deep river, Lord, I want to cross over into campground. You can hear me using that space and that presence in the low section. As soon as I had to flip up for my home is over, I switch back into that floaty high voice. Over Jordan, oh deep river, Lord. And I'm back into that low space. If I did everything as if I was preparing for that high note, over Jordan, if I sang the whole song like that, you'd hear, deep river, my home is over Jordan. And that high section sounds beautiful when it comes out, right? Over Jordan, oh deep river. And now I'm still in that space, and so the low stuff just doesn't have any ring to it. Deep river, Lord. If you bring that into that front space, just for that moment. Now, if I do that and I carry it over into the high notes, then I damage the high notes. Deep river, my home is over Jordan. It's too pressed up there. My home is over Jordan. Release some of that weight as I'm going up. So you're you have optimized so well for making beautiful high notes that it's starting to affect your low notes. So now you've just got to which is great. I would always default to that as in training a new singer. I would always say, let's focus on making the high notes free and relaxed and easy and beautiful. And if that means the low notes are a little weak for a while, that's okay, because there's less risk of damage from that than the opposite. Than like strengthening and powering up your low notes and like, oh, okay, the high notes are really belty and pushy and shouty, but okay, we'll ignore that for a while. Like, no, that's not a good approach, because you might hurt yourself by screaming all those high notes. So I want to teach you to have an easy, free, relaxed high voice first, which you do have. But then you have to learn how to maintain that while bringing the power back into your low voice and not carrying that up into the high stuff. So you bring that power back in on the low end, and you learn how to, as you're going through your medium space, your mid-range, to mix that in with a little bit of head, and then get into the head as soon as possible, so you don't carry up too much extra tension on any of that. So just don't be afraid of your low voice. Don't be afraid of getting a little bit more ring and resonance on those low notes.
Sure.
Let's do one more down there. We've been doing this one in some of my choirs. Me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me. And the main goal here is to sing through that last note. So for us, we're trying to bring some more ring and presence into your low range. Focus on those last 5 notes that are sitting in the lowest part of your range, and really bring them out forward. Me, oh, me, oh, me, while keeping that space in the back. Me, oh, me, oh, me. No? Me, oh, me, oh, me. No. Me, oh, me, oh, me. Space in the back, presence in the front. Me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me. Me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me.
Me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me. Me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me,
Yeah, more rain. Me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me. Me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me. Me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, me. Oh. Yeah, I know, that's hard work, So that's something that's gonna be a long term continual goal for you, is just to get more presence into that low voice. I fully support the kind of caution that you got there because you don't want to risk that going into your high range at all. So I get that. It'll just take a few months of kind of working into that and giving yourself permission to go a little bit louder, a little bit more brassy, a little bit more powerful when you're staying in the low range. I do think it'd be helpful for you to have a couple of songs in your repertoire that are a little bit lower, just so you have something to work on there. Sure. So we'll finish warming up your high range here, but then I would like to work on the song I just sang for you, Deep River. I'd like to throw that into our mix there.
Got it.
Yeah, you probably got some arrangements of it, exactly.
Yeah,
So
I think it's in low voice.
yeah, great. I've got a version in that key, in the key of C, that'll sit pretty low in your voice, but it'll give you a chance to use some ring there. And it also has that floating over the bridge, the my home is over, and the oh don't you wanna go over to that gospel feast, that promised land. You have those moments where you do have to flip into the head, so it'll keep you from getting too locked into the chest, but it'll give you permission to kind of come out a little bit more there because there's extended phrases that don't have any high notes. And I think pretty much every song you sing ends up having some high notes more or less every phrase or every two phrases, you know? Because you have some lovely high notes, so you want to show them off. And that makes sense. But having some songs that have extended periods with no high notes gives you a chance to really find that chest.
I will remember thee is more.
Yeah, medium.
It's not. I'm not really.
Yeah. But I mean, even the this will I do my die. It's not this will I do my dying Lord.
Correct.
You know, so there is a little bit of float there,
Correct.
even in those mid phrases.
Yeah.
Lovely. Let's get up into the high stuff. Yeah, so keep that air moving. Be careful of any kind of throat tension or closing off the sound in between the notes. Ha, 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 as opposed to ha, 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 ha. You want to start and stop the sound with the flow of air, not with the control of your muscles. So there's a little bit on the way down. I heard some of them kind of like dying out in the middle there. It could also just be a stamina thing. We're still getting warmed up and all of that too. But I think that there's some hint of you kind of trying to control the sound from up here instead of just controlling the flow of air. Ha, 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 ha. All I'm doing is starting and stopping my flow of air. All of this just stays open and out of the way. Ha, 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 ha. As opposed to ha, 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 where I'm using these muscles to control everything. So you want to get that out of the way as much as possible. Can you try the same pattern on a lip trill? Yeah, so you'll notice that anytime this starts to do anything, it's going to stop that lip trill. The only way that's going to come out is if all this stays out of the way the whole time and you just keep the air flowing. The two things that'll stop that is any tension anywhere here, this stuff doing something it's not supposed to do, or not enough breath support from here. Those are the two things that'll, I mean, the other thing is if your lips are dry, then they'll just get stuck together and they won't, but that's not that common. So that it's, I like lip trills because they're diagnostic. They tell you something is happening that you don't want to be happening. And some of those motions, like it's just the slightest bit of a little bit of a muscle next to your lip that just is a little tight. And it's something you wouldn't notice while you're singing vowels and things, but as soon as you sing a lip trill, like, oh, there it is. It stopped. And like, it wouldn't stop if everything was relaxed and free. So something must be tight. And you just gotta keep going through that. So taking any of the warm-ups we do and any of your song phrases, any kind of thing, and putting them on a lip trill will really give you a chance to practice keeping that loose, relaxed instrument as much as possible. Let's get one more for the top end and then we'll sing through our songs. notes so you have some more to go. Ne, ah, ah. Ne, ah, try the next one on a lip bubble. Try it again. So the pause there is actually a really good chance to work something through in your lip trill, because you should be stopping the sound with your air, not with this. So if you're going as opposed to I'm just turning off the air instead of and like closing everything off with this. So try to just turn off the air, but keep this relaxed and free. Do it one more time. 1, 2, 3. Sorry for the wrong notes. So you can hear that like,
have to think.
yeah, getting it restarted is hard, right? And so that's a thing to practice at home. That's the thing that'll help you work through that. It's not necessarily that that's gonna like way improve your songs. It's not gonna like improve your range, but it teaches you when you're tightening up and when you're not, and how to turn it off faster.
Yeah.
Because you're never gonna get to a stage where you're just never having any tension anywhere in the instrument. You know, it's just not a thing. But you can learn how to turn it off so quickly that it doesn't affect your singing. So you might be in the middle of a breath and notice like, oh, my jaw's a little tight. And then relax it. Like if you look at the muscles in the side of my face, you can see the tension come in and then release. If I do something like that, do you see that? Just that release of the little veins, the things that poke out, you just,
Sure.
yeah. And that's what you need to get in there, is that every phrase is reset, reset, reset. Because you sing 4 or 5 notes and something's gonna creep in the cheeks, in the jaw, in the tongue, in the lips, like there's gonna be something there, and then you let it go, and then you let it go, and then you let it go. And you do that over and over again for the whole song. And the goal with training is that the amount of tension that creeps in gets smaller and smaller, and the speed at which you release it gets faster and faster.
Right.
So that eventually no one even notices you have any tension. But it's not that there's no tension. It's just that it's so small that it comes in and then you let it go.